Every time a Ferrari drives by, people stop and stare. Not because it's just another expensive car, but because seeing one feels like witnessing a legend. For decades, Ferrari has represented something far greater than speed. It has become a symbol of success, power, and a dream that millions of people chase but very few will ever own. Today, the company is worth tens of billions of dollars. Its cars sell for hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, and collectors compete fiercely for the rarest models. Ferrari even turns away wealthy buyers if they don't fit the brand's image. But none of this was guaranteed. Long before the roaring V12 engines, before Formula One championships, before celebrities, billionaires, and royalty proudly parked Ferraris in their garages, there was a young Italian boy with an impossible dream. Enzo Ferrari wasn't born into wealth. He didn't inherit a famous company. In fact, his early life was filled with tragedy, war, heartbreak, and countless setbacks that could have ended his ambitions before they ever began. Yet instead of giving up, he devoted his entire life to one obsession: building the greatest racing machines the world had ever seen. That obsession would create a company unlike any other. A brand that deliberately builds fewer cars than it could sell. A company whose logo has become one of the most recognizable symbols on Earth. A business so exclusive that owning one isn't just about having money. It's about earning the privilege. This is the incredible story of how one man's relentless pursuit of perfection transformed a small racing team into the most iconic luxury car brand in history. This, Part 1. A childhood that changed everything. Long before the Ferrari name became a symbol of speed and luxury, it belonged to a boy growing up in a small town in northern Italy. Enzo Ferrari was born on February 18, 1898, in Modena, Italy. His father, Alfredo Ferrari, owned a small metalworking business that supplied parts for the local railway industry. The family wasn't wealthy, but they lived comfortably, and Enzo spent much of his childhood surrounded by tools, machinery, and the sound of engines. At first, nothing suggested he would one day build the world's most famous sports cars. Then, when Enzo was just 10 years old, his father took him to watch a motor race near Bologna. The experience changed his life forever. The roaring engines, the fearless drivers, and the excitement of thousands of spectators left a lasting impression. From that day on, Enzo knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted to dedicate his life to racing. But dreams are rarely easy to achieve. In 1916, tragedy struck the Ferrari family. During a widespread flu outbreak, both Enzo's father and his older brother, Dino, passed away within a short period of each other. At only 18 years old, Enzo suddenly found himself helping support his family while trying to figure out what his future would look like. Then another challenge arrived. As World War I intensified, Enzo was drafted into the Italian army. Like millions of young men across Europe, he was forced to put his dreams on hold. The war brought hardship, uncertainty, and constant danger. Eventually, Enzo became seriously ill with influenza and was discharged from military service before the war ended. Returning home, he faced an uncertain future. His family business was gone. Italy was struggling after the war. Jobs were scarce. Yet Enzo refused to abandon the dream that had started years earlier at that racetrack. He wasn't thinking about building luxury cars. He wasn't thinking about becoming rich. He simply wanted one thing: to be part of the world of racing. That single goal would soon lead him to an opportunity that would change the course of automotive history forever. Is the story of Ferrari. Part 2. The Road to Alfa Romeo. After returning from the war, Enzo Ferrari had no money, no business, and no clear path forward. But he still had the dream that had never left him. Determined to work with automobiles, Enzo traveled to Turin, hoping to land a job at Fiat, the largest car manufacturer in Italy. He believed this was his chance. Instead, he was rejected. For many people, that would have been the end of the story. For Enzo, it was only another obstacle. Soon after, he found work at a small company called CMN, where he tested and delivered cars across Italy. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave him something even more valuable: experience behind the wheel. Before long, Enzo began competing in local races. He wasn't the fastest driver on the track, but he impressed people with his determination, mechanical knowledge, and understanding of how a racing team should operate. Those qualities caught the attention of one of Italy's most respected automobile companies, Alfa Romeo. In 1920, Enzo joined Alfa Romeo as a racing driver. Although he earned a few victories, he quickly realized something important. His greatest talent wasn't driving the cars. It was building the team behind them. Over the next several years, Enzo became one of Alfa Romeo's most trusted leaders, helping organize races, recruit talented drivers, and improve the company's growing motorsport program. His leadership transformed Alfa Romeo into one of the most respected names in European racing. Then, in 1929, Enzo took the biggest step of his career so far. With Alfa Romeo's support, he founded Scuderia Ferrari. At first, it wasn't a car company. It was a racing team. Scuderia Ferrari prepared, managed, and raced Alfa Romeo cars for talented drivers across Italy, quickly earning a reputation for excellence and professionalism. The famous prancing horse logo also made its first appearance during this period, becoming the symbol that would one day be recognized around the world. Without realizing it, Enzo Ferrari was laying the foundation for something far greater than a successful racing team. He was creating the identity of a future legend. But before Ferrari could build its own cars, Enzo would have to make the hardest decision of his life. Part 3. The birth of Ferrari. By the late 1930s, Enzo Ferrari had helped turn Scuderia Ferrari into one of the most respected racing teams in Europe. But behind the scenes, his relationship with Alfa Romeo was beginning to change. The company decided to take greater control of its racing operations, leaving Enzo with far less independence than he wanted. For someone who had dedicated his life to racing, the decision was difficult. In 1939, Enzo walked away. As part of the agreement, however, he accepted a major restriction. For several years, he was legally forbidden from using the Ferrari name on any racing car or automobile. Instead of giving up, he adapted. He founded a new company called Auto Avio Costruzioni, which manufactured machine tools and aircraft components. Although racing remained his passion, Enzo had to wait patiently for another opportunity. Then history intervened once again. World War II swept across Europe, forcing factories to change production. Enzo's business shifted away from racing and focused on supporting Italy's wartime industries. During the conflict, his factory was damaged by bombing, creating yet another setback. When the war finally ended, many companies were struggling simply to survive. Enzo saw something different. He saw a chance to start over. He rebuilt his factory in Maranello, a small town that would become forever linked with the Ferrari name. Now that the agreement with Alfa Romeo had expired, he was finally free to build the car he had dreamed about for decades. In 1947, that dream became reality. Ferrari unveiled its first official road car, the 125S, powered by a revolutionary V12 engine designed by Gioacchino Colombo. It was unlike almost anything else on the road. The car didn't just represent a new company. It represented Enzo Ferrari's lifelong belief that racing technology could create extraordinary automobiles. Just weeks after its debut, the 125S earned Ferrari's first racing victories. The wins proved that the company wasn't simply another car manufacturer. It was a racing team that happened to build road cars. That philosophy would define Ferrari for generations. Every victory on the track strengthened the brand's reputation, attracting customers who wanted more than transportation. They wanted to own a piece of racing history. And as Ferrari's success on the track continued to grow, so did the legend surrounding the prancing horse. Part 4. Winning the world. From the very beginning, Enzo Ferrari never saw road cars as his ultimate goal. To him, they served one purpose. They helped pay for racing. Every Ferrari sold gave the company more resources to build faster cars, hire better engineers, and compete against the greatest teams in the world. It was a risky strategy. Most manufacturers used racing to promote their road cars. Ferrari built road cars to support its racing. Fortunately for Enzo, it worked. When Formula One held its inaugural World Championship in 1950, Ferrari was one of the first teams to enter the competition. Just 1 year later, the team celebrated its first Formula One Grand Prix victory. It was only the beginning. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Ferrari became the team everyone wanted to beat. The prancing horse wasn't just winning races, it was creating legends. Drivers such as Alberto Ascari, Juan Manuel Fangio, Phil Hill, John Surtees, and many others helped Ferrari capture world championships and establish its reputation as the ultimate name in motorsport. Beyond Formula One, Ferrari also dominated some of the toughest endurance races on Earth. Victories at events like the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the Mille Miglia proved that Ferrari's cars were not only incredibly fast but also remarkably reliable under extreme conditions. Each victory carried enormous value. Every trophy strengthened the Ferrari name. Every championship increased demand. And every new customer wanted to own a car built by the team that kept defeating the world's best. Soon, Ferrari became much more than an automaker. It became a symbol. Owning one meant you weren't simply buying transportation. You were buying into decades of engineering excellence, racing heritage, and relentless pursuit of perfection. By the 1960s, demand for Ferrari cars had grown far beyond what the company could produce. Many businesses would have rushed to build more. Enzo Ferrari refused. He believed that rarity created desire. The fewer Ferraris on the road, the more special each one became. That philosophy would turn Ferrari into one of the most exclusive luxury brands in history. But even as the company reached incredible heights, Enzo Ferrari was facing some of the greatest personal and financial challenges of his life. Part 5. The deal that changed Ferrari forever. By the early 1960s, Ferrari had become one of the most respected names in motorsport. Its cars were admired around the world, and demand continued to grow. But behind the prestige, the company faced a difficult reality. Building world-class racing cars and handcrafted road cars was incredibly expensive. Ferrari was famous, but it wasn't rich. Enzo Ferrari needed investment if he wanted the company to survive and continue competing at the highest level. In 1963, an opportunity arrived. The Ford Motor Company approached Ferrari with plans to buy the business. For months, executives negotiated what could have become one of the biggest deals in automotive history. Everything seemed ready, until Enzo read the final contract. Although Ford wanted to own Ferrari, Enzo discovered that he would lose control over the racing team, the part of the company he cared about most. For Enzo, that was unacceptable. He immediately walked away from the deal. Ford executives were furious. Henry Ford, too, reportedly took the rejection personally and ordered his company to build a car capable of defeating Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That decision sparked one of the greatest rivalries in racing history. The battle between Ford and Ferrari captivated the world and pushed both companies to extraordinary levels of innovation. While Ferrari continued to earn victories, the financial pressure never disappeared. Enzo realized that if he wanted Ferrari to remain independent in spirit, he needed a strong partner with the resources to support its future. In 1969, he reached an agreement with Fiat. The company purchased a major stake in Ferrari, providing the financial stability Enzo had been searching for. Unlike the proposed Ford deal, this partnership allowed Ferrari to keep control of its racing operations while gaining the investment needed to expand. It proved to be one of the most important decisions in the company's history. Ferrari now had the resources to continue building exceptional cars without sacrificing the identity that made it special. Enzo had protected his dream. And thanks to that decision, Ferrari entered a new era, one where it would evolve from a legendary racing team into one of the most valuable luxury brands on the planet. Part 6. From racing legend to luxury empire. When Enzo Ferrari passed away in 1988 at the age of 90, many wondered if the company could survive without the man who had built it from nothing. For nearly 5 decades, Ferrari had reflected Enzo's vision, his obsession with performance, his demand for perfection, and his belief that every Ferrari should feel special. Now, the company faced its biggest challenge yet, proving that Ferrari could remain Ferrari without Enzo. The first few years were difficult. Competition in Formula One grew stronger, and championship victories became increasingly rare. Although Ferrari continued to build incredible road cars, the team struggled to recapture the dominance that had defined its earlier decades. Then, in the mid-1990s, everything began to change. Ferrari assembled one of the greatest teams in motorsport history. Jean Todt became team principal. Ross Brawn joined as technical director. Rory Byrne led the design of the cars. And in 1996, Ferrari signed one of the greatest drivers the sport had ever seen. Michael Schumacher. It wasn't an instant success. The team spent years improving every detail, learning from setbacks, and refusing to give up. Their patience paid off. In 2000, Schumacher delivered Ferrari's first Formula One Drivers' Championship in 21 years. It was the beginning of a dynasty. From 2000 to 2004, Schumacher won 5 consecutive world championships with Ferrari, while the team captured multiple constructors' championships. Once again, the prancing horse stood at the top of the racing world. The victories did more than fill trophy cabinets. They transformed Ferrari's business. Demand for its road cars surged across the globe. Collectors paid record prices for classic Ferraris. Waiting lists for new models stretched for years. Owning a Ferrari became more than buying an exotic car. It became a statement of achievement. Yet Ferrari still refused to chase volume. While other manufacturers expanded production to maximize sales, Ferrari deliberately limited how many cars it built each year. The strategy created something money alone couldn't buy: scarcity. Customers weren't just competing to afford a Ferrari. In many cases, they were competing for the opportunity to purchase one. That exclusivity allowed Ferrari to command extraordinary prices while maintaining one of the strongest brand reputations in the luxury industry. By staying true to Enzo Ferrari's philosophy, the company proved that success isn't always about selling more. Sometimes, it's about making people want what only a few can have. Part 7. The Legacy of the Prancing Horse. Today, Ferrari is far more than a car manufacturer. It is one of the most valuable luxury brands in the world. Every year, millions of people dream of owning one. Yet only a small number ever will. Unlike most companies, Ferrari has never tried to build as many cars as possible. Instead, it has remained committed to one simple philosophy: always leave people wanting more. That strategy has made Ferrari remarkably profitable. Each vehicle is crafted with extraordinary attention to detail, blending cutting-edge engineering, handcrafted craftsmanship, and decades of racing experience. Many of its most exclusive models sell out long before production even begins. Some are offered only to Ferrari's most loyal customers, making ownership feel less like a purchase and more like an invitation into an exclusive club. At the same time, Ferrari continues to evolve. The company has embraced new technologies, introduced hybrid supercars, and is preparing for an electric future, while working to preserve the emotion, performance, and unmistakable identity that made the brand legendary. More than 75 years after the first Ferrari rolled out of the factory in Maranello, the prancing horse remains one of the most recognizable symbols on Earth. Its cars have won countless races, broken speed records, appeared in movies, music videos, and the garages of athletes, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and royalty. But perhaps Ferrari's greatest achievement isn't measured by trophies or financial success. It's measured by inspiration. Enzo Ferrari proved that one person's obsession with excellence could create something that would outlive him by generations. He didn't simply build fast cars. He built a dream that continues to inspire engineers, designers, racing drivers, entrepreneurs, and car enthusiasts across the world. Because Ferrari has never been just about horsepower, or luxury, or even racing. It's about pursuing perfection, even knowing perfection can never truly be reached. And maybe that's why, after all these years, seeing a Ferrari still makes people stop, look, and dream. Because legends aren't created overnight. They're built one victory, one innovation, and one impossible dream at a time. This is Ferrari. Final part. Ferrari's story reminds us that the greatest empires aren't built overnight. They begin with a single idea, a relentless obsession, and the courage to keep moving forward when everyone else would quit. From a young boy in Modena with a passion for racing, to the creator of the most iconic supercar brand in history, Enzo Ferrari proved that true success isn't just about making money. It's about building something so extraordinary that generations continue to admire it long after you're gone. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more documentaries exploring the people and brands that changed the world through ambition, innovation, and determination. And let me know in the comments, which luxury brand or legendary entrepreneur should we cover next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.